so they are not following it in a true spirit. And I know it is a time consuming process, but technologies are there. Traditionally the seasoning can take around 3 to 4 weeks, but with RF and microwave heating we can reduce the time even 2 days, 3 to 4 days we can finish the entire drying experiments.
Sir, 5 more minutes you have, sir.
Sure,
to conclude.
Thank you. And grading, corporations, they always grade the material based on look, external features, defects. So that's one way it's good at least to, but when it goes for trade, we can grade the material based on properties also. What is inside, it is not visible. So there are simple grading tools are available by acoustic. Even civil engineers, they use for testing the concrete. The same thing can be extended to wood also, where materials can be graded. And these are not very time consuming. Each log can be graded in just 5 to 10 seconds. It's a very fast methods. Okay. And this is quite futuristic, though it is not possible. I mean, right now we can't think of in India. But this is a grading mechanism being followed in US and UK. They do CT scan. They carry the scanner they load it in truck, go to the field, and every log is scanned in 10 to 15 seconds. So you can see the internal. So this shows, in the bottom you can see the internal structure of a wood by CT scan. Okay. So that helps not only in grading the material. Even when you go for conversion, you know where is my defect is located. So that I can optimize my conversion so that recovery will be more. Okay. And processing machines, precision processing. Traditionally, we have been using those machines which are pretty old, and precision is missing. So CNCs are really good, and they can come to the rescue of this precision machining. And it not only gives you precision, it also stores a lot of wastages. And this photograph, you can see the person who is standing, his statue is made just in a 3 hours time. Okay, it's not new. It's quite they are in the society, but their absorption by the industry is really low. Earlier some foreign companies were selling, but fortunately Indian makes are available with a very cheaper price. BC is a company which sells the product at around 1.5 CR, but Indian makes can cost you around 50 to 20 lakhs. So that can be easily accepted in the Indian market. And similarly, one more precision processing is laser. But so far laser is only confined to engraving. It is predominantly used in metal sector, particularly steel and iron sectors, but it has been extended to wooden base. But so far it is only confined to carving and engraving. But this can be also a method of sawing. We can even go for sawing 1 inch thick planks, and it's very precise, and you can start your cutting from any point and you can end at any point, not necessarily from one end. So it gives the flexibility. This is one of the method which can takes care of your wastages, finger jointing. It's being followed by many industries, and I'm not telling that. But when we talk about wastages, that can be this is the best way to add value to those wastages. And these materials, you need just a 1.5 feet material, as small as in 1 feet, and it can produce a material of 40 feet length. Okay, the strength will be compromised, no doubt, but there are areas where these materials can find a lot of applications. I'll just highlight in the next slide. Structural analysis based design. See, our carpentry system or furniture making is completely based on assumption and hit and trial. But sir was mentioning in the previous session, IKEA, why they are flourishing. All of their designs are based on structural analysis. See, when you use teak wood and maybe hebe, that is melia, dubia, so not necessarily the dimension of both the timber should be same. Teak is, we know the properties is good, so we can go for lesser dimension. While melia dubia, where the strength is a little bit inferior, we can go for a little bit higher dimensions. So those properties are already available in the literature, in the public domain. But we never think if it is teak. Traditionally, what we do, whether it is sal, teak, sisam or deodar or maybe rosewood, we always prefer 1.5 inch to 2 inch thick material. So we know that material saved is forest saved, particularly wood. If you can save wood, then you are, depending less on the forest. So in that context, design based and softwares are available. We can design the before production, mass scale production, furniture can be designed, tested in the software, and their stability can be checked, then we can go for mass scale production. So a lot of raw material can be saved in that context. And mass timber. So far, this is very new concept to our Indian market. Here, our traditional timbers, you might have seen a lot of houses are constructed with solid beams and columns. but we don't have those structures right now. The other way to get those materials from short rotation timber is by mass timber. The name itself suggests that they are massive in nature. The length can be as high as 40 to 50 feet length in one structural beam, and even this entire house can be, the wall can be converted in 2 CLT pieces. They are so massive, that depends on how lengthy your equipments are, and they don't need any big timber. Even as I mentioned, 2 feet length timber can be utilized to produce beams of 40 feet. Okay, and it is heartening to know that JICA has already given priority to mass timber as a focus point, and we have already a preliminary discussion. Yeah, just last slide. We have a couple of once discussion with NRI Institute regarding this context, and they are not new in Western countries. This is the building which is constructed in UBC, University of British Columbia. It is a 86.5 meter building completely with wood. Okay, and there are almost like 20-30 buildings all over the globe, and every country is trying to surpass the highest building. Okay, but in India we have started a project recently, just a year ago, and just to demonstrate and showcase the feasibility of wooden construction. And the business pathways, I don't want to highlight the importance of assured supply, but value addition, we should go for value addition. Okay, even when you do this free trade agreement, we also suggested where there is scope for value addition, we should encourage less import duty. So in the same way, forest development corporations, they always look for they should look for value addition. It's not like KSFIC is a very good example. They have been selling their product in the market in terms of furniture, and the best way for them is there is no tender involved for government procurements. We can straightway go to KSFIC and place our order without any tendering process. That is very hassle free. And then cluster based approach, so it is getting attention, like International Furniture Park is coming in Tuticorin. It's a very good step in our developing our Indian furniture market, and we should approach cluster based, because not necessarily every industry can fetch high end product, machineries, but if there is a cluster, some things can be jointly shared, particularly this testing facilities and seasoning kilns. This can be shared by the clusters, and moreover getting funding from MSME through cluster is also very easy for wood based industries. So just to conclude, integrating wood into this built environment, it is not only it's a material of choice, but I feel it is a strategic approach to mitigate climate change and sustainability, and to contribute towards circular economy. So wood is good, and we should always promote more wood and use it. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Now I would request next speaker to please present. Ma'am, please stick to the time.
Sure. A very good morning to all of you. Further to what Dr. Anil Shetty has given, my part of the presentation would be, after getting the timber harvesting, what are the other products that are being manufactured or where the commercial implementation do happen. So the form of wood which we use may be of different categories. It can be in the veneer form, or the lops and tops can be converted to particles, or even to the fiber. Based on the form of the timber material which we use, we have the composites called as plywood, particle board, and medium density fiber board, which finds wide applications for engineering composites. Major wood-based industries are categorized to mechanical wood industries and the composite panel industries, where we have the plywood, particle board, and MDF. As you know, the higher percentage of timber is also being used by the pulp and paper industry. The producer's range of processed wood here is divided into sawnwood, which is mostly covered as a wood products, wood composite materials by Anil Shetty, composite wood panels to pulp, and the third is the pulp wood. So different categories of products which are commercially being manufactured today in India is plywood, particle board, MDF, laminated veneer lumber, all our flush doors, block boards which are being used for furnitures or the doors in the apartments or houses are all being used, made by timber. But when we talk about the timber being used, in India almost all the panel industries are using agri-wood, no forest-based timber. So they're already into the utilization of sustainable wood materials for their products. To just give an outline of wood-based industries in India, we have about 100 large and medium-sized industries and over to 3,238 SSI industries. And out of these 3,300 industries, even today, only 30 to 40% are organized. When I say organized, these are the industries who are making quality products and judicially utilizing the timber. Whereas the remaining 70% do not have any BIS or ISI licensing, and they do the products as per their fancy and depending on the demand which they have in their local markets. But this unorganized sector in one way are wasting the material which is really of very high value for anyone today. And we have about 65 particle board industries. See, and the medium density fiber board industries are expanding and diversifying very largely in India. There is huge demand of medium density fiber board even in other countries. If we look into about 70% to 90% production is MDF, whereas plywood is only 10 to 20%. In India, we dominate with plywood with more than 80 to 90%, when MDF was only 6 to 10%. But as on today, if you look into the 2026 update, we have about 24 MDF industries in India, and still it is diversifying further. The market size of the panel industry is about 28,000 crores per annum. I'll just go. So when we look into the raw material, so if you look into the market demand of this is industrial wood, I am talking about the industrial wood. We see that 153 million meter cube was the demand during 2020, and it is forecasted to be 260 million meter cube by 2030. As we know, today there is a lot of urbanization, and everyone wants the furnitures and their wardrobe to be renovated in a shorter cycle. Like earlier ancient days, we used to have the furnitures which will have very high durability. But today the mindset and the lifestyle is changed. So the renovation cycle demand by the individuals will further rise the demand of the material in the sector. The demand and supply gap, as most of the speakers have also emphasized that the plantations are from tree outside forest for many of the end-use application. Similar is the case with the panel sector also. We have about 88.7% from tree outside forest, and by 2030 it is expected to be 91%. And 3% is the output from forest. Why this 3% still continues and will continue to be from forest is the phase veneers which are being used by the sector in plywood is the forest timber. This is mainly because the customer demand is like that. They realize that if they use a plantation timber, the product is more prone for attack and service life will be less. When they see the color of the forest timber which are darker in color, the customer acceptability is also larger. So that 3% timber from the forest, but it is actually imported. The material which is being used for face veneers in India, almost all the industries are importing this face veneers from Gabon and Malaysia. They do not have any indigenous source. So here, sir, if you look into, if you look into the gap, demand and supply gap, demand is anticipated to be 260 million meter cube. But our output of the material is 91.15 million meter cube. There is a deficit of 165.85 million meter cube of the raw material. So here we have to emphasize and we have to have joint collaborations. How do we address this research gap of sourcing this raw material from plantation activities? So the first category of plywood, why I am just highlighting is, See, we have all the veneer-based products wherein it finds application for general purpose plywood, where we have an Indian standard IS 303. Here what has happened is the recent revisions which have taken place, even the industries have been forced to have a declaration on the source of the raw material as well as the species which they use. So there will be traceability that the material is made from agri-wood. And we have a marine plywood wherein we have relevant standards for every product, shuttering plywood as well as the fire retardant plywood and the fire retardant doors. We have the structural plywood. Why I am giving this requirements of standard is, see, people do take up that any categories of plywood which is available in the market can be used for any kind of applications. It is not so. For a furniture which is within a closed environment, we have to go only for a general purpose plywood. But of late what has happened is the industries have also started giving a marine grade plywood for a kitchen cabinets in the door, where the clients is stated that it is a BWP grade, boiling waterproof grade is required. So you use a marine grade quality. But a marine plywood in a closed environment is safe, is not safe for the human, because there are preservative treatments given for marine applications which may have in course of release of some emission of compounds. So at present in 2025, even these standards are revised so that the customer should be safe, and in the revision, even the boiling waterproof grade where the clients used to be cheated by a marine ply can utilize their boiling waterproof grade by IS 303.
Ma'am, 2 more minutes.
Yes, sir. Sorry. So we have MDF and part. I'll just give an outline of this novel technologies which have been developed in the institute using the plantation timbers of complex with colored veneers for specialized applications. This product is exported to European and American market where there is a huge demand. So this indigenous technology will always help to reduce the import substitutions. We have transparent wood, the first of its kind, which was developed in Maryland, and similar technology utilizing our agri-wood has been developed in the institute. And further to have the upscaling, we may have some collaboration with JICA forestry assisted projects also for upscaling of these technologies. We have cross-laminated timber, nanotechnologies for panel composites. This is the structural composites, cross-laminated timber. See, when we talk about any composites, when we have to address the climate change or the greenhouse emissions, we need to have the basic raw material which are being used to produce this also should be safer. So the institute has been continuously involved in developing eco-friendly adhesives, formulating environment-friendly preservatives, as well as the additives which that are being employed in the manufacturing of these products. These are some of the non-conventional materials, like whatever waste you get from the blast furnace or from the pulp and paper units, we have tried to transform them into the particle board composites, wood geopolymer composites, which finds its place with the similar kind of wood particle board and the medium density fiber board category. And this is one of the special product, Tetra Pak waste. As we know, most of us when we consume the beverages, we just throw the packs. So those Tetra Paks were collected and we have tried to develop a composite which will have very high-end applications. And in Karnataka, we see that for buses, KSRTC buses, back padding, they are using this for writing pads as well as for some furnitures. Tetra Pak composites are being used. See, the most important challenges that are happening in the and faced by the panel industry, first is the raw material availability as well as the cost. Since there is a lot of deficit with the raw material, the cost is also going higher. So we need to have some technology on the plantation or multiplication trials for having more raw material for supply for the panel industry. And defining standards.
We are actually running short of time. There are 2 more speakers.
Sure, sir.
Please conclude.
So defining standards is very important, as and when any new products are formed, we need to have a new standard addressing the environmental concerns and the changing policies which are happening. The pathways to bridges, at present people are importing some wood, we need to reduce those and promote the short rotation plantation activities by integrating farmers, industries and the research institutes. And these are some of the species where the institute has developed technology. And the other pathways which we look into for sustainability and green practices is the safer adhesive system, with complying to the international levels, timber sourced from outside foresters, and we should have technologies which are energy efficient as well as low emission manufacturing process. As Dr. Anil said, I also emphasize precision cutting tools is the most important development which is required, as we find that indigenous species MDF particle board are not able to give the requisite machining properties in India. So the industries are facing export problem. We require certain designing in the precision cutting tools to improve product consistency. Okay, these are some of the activities which are offered by the institute, where you can find even in our website. With this, I end up. If you have any further information required on this, you can approach me during the lunch time. Thank you.
That was the, yeah, please. You may keep your questions noted down, and at the end, the same questions may be asked. Sir, please try to sum up within 10 minutes. I will give you a reminder when 2 minutes are left.
Thank you. Good morning to all of you. I'll try to be brief and try to avoid prompting from the chair. This topic is specifically given to us by the workshop organizers, because some of the genetics-based interventions we are currently doing in Tamil Nadu and Andhra Pradesh have made some impact. So it is good to discuss them and see whether some of them can be adopted, particularly in Odisha. May be useful, may not be with the same species, but the model may be useful to many of you from different parts of the country. We have repeatedly heard we are a wood deficient country. That's not surprising. We are a large nation with an aspiring population. Our environmental forest protection laws are very strong. But what's surprising is we have a large area under plantations. Normally they should satisfy our wood need. Teak, eucalyptus, poplars, acacias, cashew nut, we have the largest area under plantation in the world. But still we end up importing. The main reason is, though our growing stock is huge, they grow very slow. They occupy a large land area, but return us very little wood. So this low productivity has to be addressed if we think of stopping import or meeting future need or becoming climate smart. So the reasons for low productivity. So usually still tree growing is having a low input approach. So in fact, we call tree planting, we don't call tree growing or tree cultivations. It's very recent. So that mindset has to change. The silviculture has to become intensive more. And then there is no lack of varieties, site specific, end use specific. As you know, the word revolution in green revolution, dairy, milk, all those came mainly because of the high yielding varieties. We haven't heard any such thing in forestry crops. That's the main reason. And then weak linkages between research and operational forestry. For a very long time, our forestry research is more than a century old. And on the field connections, stories are very, very less. Specifically to address these productivity concerns, our institute was established in the year 1988. We are moving towards our 40th year. Why such low productivity, such lack of varieties? One reason is trees have a long gestation period, both as for economic rotation period as well as the breeding takes time. If you raise a teak crop and your career is not sufficient to see the results. So that is a main reason. But last 30 years, some significant things have been given to people and they have used it. And the gains may be small at the beginning, but trees are long gestation again, but they compound. So over a period of time, you get more gain than agriculture breeding itself, which I will demonstrate. And as in any improvement productivity problem, we always have to balance the risk with the economic gain, which I'll explain. We'll use two case studies in this topic. First one will be for our short rotation species, which I will deal, and then Dr. Yasoda will continue with the long rotation crop, teak, in the second part of the presentation. We have a breeding program for Cashew. Cashew may not be familiar to many of you, but it is an important crop. 1 million hectares under cultivation, meets 25% of pulpwood raw material requirement of the country, and the annual wood market is worth 3,000 crores. So it's an important crop, particularly in Andhra Pradesh and Tamil Nadu. And we have a breeding program running long term for the last 30 years. Every 10 years we make a generation turnover. So we have moving from third to fourth generation. So means if we launch a variety today, we have a 3 or 4 generations pedigree backed up for that variety. So every 10 years we send genetically improved seed or a vegetatively propagated clone to plantations. So the last release was in 2017. Previous was 2014. So 10 years of clonal plantations using our variety. That means 3 harvests have happened. So it's a good time to see that impact, genetic and social impacts, and which I will present in the next slide. See the on-farm test plot. The center is our variety, substantially better than the benchmarks which the industry and farmers were planting before. Compared to the unimproved seed source and the previously planted varieties, they have nearly doubled the variety. They are actually hybrid variety, 2 species we have hybridized and produced, so they have the hybrid vigor and a very wide adaptability throughout the country. In fact, this year we are releasing it as an all India variety. It has high rooting potential, so industry can mass propagate and supply. So it has made a lot of economic gains to farmers. So we have released these varieties in 2014 and 17. Up to this is research. If properly trained people and adequate funding is there, we can accomplish. But the real challenge is taking this variety to a large number of farmers scattered around the country and derive the social benefits out of it is a big challenge. It's no one organization can do alone. That only partnership matters. And how we were fairly successful in that, I'll show in the next slides. First, we worked with the industry. Industry, particularly paper industry, is a farm forestry program. The first picture shows in the center APL is Andhra Paper Limited. So they call 100 kilometer radius around the mill as their catchment area for pulpwood. So in that different diverse soils, we put OFT, that is on-farm tests we put. So we get to know what is the most suitable variety for that site. It also serves as a demonstration plot for the farmers in that area. Once it's shown that it is a good variety there, and in the same vicinity a nursery is established, so that farmer can access it close to that area. The variety that is proven in this area, which has been shown in the demonstration plot. That way we worked with the industry, and industries like APL, TNPL have also got certificates under FSC for their farm forestry operations. So they show this also, that they use authentic varieties, research institutes involvement and sustainable production. So in that way you see the second picture, and over a period of 2017 to 2014, the Tamil Nadu newsprints procurement of pulpwood has doubled from 500,000 tons a year to close to 1 million tons a year, without substantially increasing the area of the pulpwood species. That is very important. The existing area under country, because that we don't want to do, I'll show in the next slide. Without substantially increasing the area under cultivation, the wood that comes to the mill has been substantially increased. Now, already it is a monoculture. We are also going to clonal forestry. We are concerned about climate resilience. So we are very keen to broaden that. First, as I said before, we only want a varietal replacement to take place. That means a farmer who is cultivating cashew nut to plant a new variety and earn more. Not that a farmer who is growing some other food crop to turn to. So because that's not good. And also, we want to give more choice to farmers. So you have a menu card of varieties suiting different soil types and end use so that farmers can choose. So many varieties are planted which gives stability to the crop on the ground, make them not vulnerable to the climate change. And then we want to integrate with the other crops with that. So slowly become polycrops. It's not easy to do immediately, but at least try to grow 2 species or 2 crops in the same time so that have diversity. Particularly now we put 2 models. Any long rotation crops like timber species, we leave at least 3 meter spacing. That 3 meter spacing is not utilized by the main crop in the first 3 years. So we can always have one short rotation crop on harvest. So in Tamil Nadu, it's usual in a teak plantation, people have alternate cashew nut. Now harvest in 2 years. You get 20 tons in 2 to 3 years, and which is worth 1 lakh rupees. So release the land for the main crop. So it also helps here in the second picture down, the apical dominance of teak and branching pattern, clear bowl, everything, additional benefits we get. And also we put as wind breaks in horticulture crops. So it increases the yield of the horticulture crop and gives additional income. So we try to have multiple crops in that slowly. It is also an insurance towards climate. Then we breeding. From here, what variety is planted here, what is going to come in 5 years now, 10 years now, we focus our breeding of not just more wood per acre, not more pulp per acre, or more product per acre. That way we focus on quality. Sir? And we also concerned when large amount comes.
2 more minutes.
So I'm moving. So this is the output from all the 30 years of work, and we have released large number of varieties. We have registered the variety, authentic planting material, licensed the material to the pepper industries, 20 crore plants annually produced by the industries, and we earn license fee and royalty plow back into the program. And the cumulative worth of the variety is what we call. The additional benefits last 10 years harvest what farmers got is more than 300 million USD for the last 10 years. So this is an impact that created on the ground by genetics based intervention. So before I leave it to my colleague, because I'm standing in the soil of Odisha, I said I learned from Mr. Swayam Malik that the temple of Lord Jagannath requires 10,000 tons of fuel wood a year, and we will be happy that our varieties produce these pulpwood and high quality firewood for the temple. Thank you for the opportunity.
Good morning to everyone. Like I will be talking about the long rotation crop where the breeding has given certain dividends. That is teak. Of course, all of us know the timber status in the country. Currently, as far as teak is concerned, we are importing from Latin American countries and African countries. And currently, we pay a price of per cubic meter 400 to 800 US dollar we pay, and we get the material into the country. And like if we see the import cost as it is, only for teak, like total import of wood, rough wood is 8,000 crores or 80 billion INR. This is the data from 2024 where IFGTP has collected from the Government of India's EXIM database. And there the share of teak roundwood alone is 25.6 billion INR we pay and get. Likewise, for sawnwood, sawn teak we pay 8,000 million INR. So definitely we need to look into how we can increase the domestic production. And those countries, whatever Latin American and African countries, how they don't use teak for themselves. They are purely cultivating for the Indian market. So they adopt certain technologies, certain improvements they have done. Like all those countries are adopting the clonal forestry. Of course, clones is one of the intervention technique in tree breeding. They use it efficiently to produce more. And clonal plantations for teak, it is well proven throughout the world that they give 14% higher of DBH and 40% of increased volume. Same plant, same place it is going to occupy, but the productivity is very high. And of course, those countries acknowledge that the material has come from India. Indian provenances are doing such good in other countries, and we are yet to utilize the genetics of our own material. And they do follow intense silviculture, mostly learned from India, and they have developed for themselves. And rotation age, what we are currently following, they don't follow that. They are cutting at the age of 20 to 25 years. That is sufficient enough to use for our day-to-day activities. And here we can see the buttressing of the teak. That is a genetic character that we need to overcome through the improvement methods. And of course, IFGTB has started the teak improvement program somewhere in 2000, and we have done the selections mainly from the Kerala and Tamil Nadu department plantations. We have done the selections from the mature plantations, and we have initially considered the growth rate, clear bole height, branching pattern, wood quality, all those, and we have gone to the field testing. Unlike other short rotation crop, teak definitely needs at least 15 years of testing in the field that we have completed. Of course, here we have done an intervention of biotechnological tool, tissue culture. Of course, now most of us are familiar with the tissue culture technology, and we use the advanced techniques like DNA based markers also to check the genetic fidelity. We apply these techniques to produce more of planting stock. And of course, it is difficult for a research institute to produce more, so we have gone with the license agreement with the commercial tissue culture laboratories, which are distributed throughout the country. And they currently 3 laboratories we are working with. They multiply for us. They are having the capacity to produce millions and millions of plants. And some of the clonal performance also I have shown here, like at the age of 6 years, IFGTB clones show up to 10 meter to 12 meter height and good girth of 50 to 58 centimeter. Currently, we also work with some of the state forest department like Chhattisgarh, Karnataka, Kerala and Tamil Nadu to transfer this technology. And of course, sustainable teak cultivation needs a continuous improvement, like wide variety of clones need to be introduced, because once we say clone, even the wood characters are retained as it is. So if someone prefers golden color teak or darker yellow teak, then you have to select the varieties accordingly. So all those changes, we need to continuously do this process and induct them in the mass multiplication program. Of course, tree improvement complements silviculture. We know the importance of silviculture, particularly in teak, that need to be adhered. And higher productivity per unit area is achieved, better quality of wood also, because we are specifically looking for higher hardwood content in the genetic material. So that is also achieved. And of course, reduced rotation age. We recommend 20 to 25 years for the tissue culture material. And improved genotypes, really they respond efficiently to the silviculture techniques, like either it is a pruning or thinning. It is highly reflected in the product in the field. And many of us have the concern that whether the clones is going to stand in the field for 20 years, will they have any problem of rooting compared to conventional staging. All those things have been already well proved that clones have the better root system than clones, and we can comfortably go for clonal forestry in teak wherever we are interested in production forestry. Thank you very much.
Thank you, ma'am. So we had 4 presentations. 2 were from IWST, from Dr. Sethi and Ms. Sujata. Those presentations were basically use of tools and technology related to timber testing, timber production. And the last 2 presentations were from IGTB, by Dr. R. Yashoda and Dr. Nicodemus, where we saw how shorter rotation and longer rotations species were selected and how they have improved the clonal varieties. So now we'll open the house for some questions and comments, but before that I would request my co-chair to say a few words.
Thank you, sir. Thank you to all the speakers. As my colleague, Mr. Vineet Saring, shared with you in his presentation at the very first day, we are now aspiring for the 5th generation of JICA forestry projects, and which has special focus on wood-based industries and what we call wood transformation. So in that sense, the 4 presentations were extremely insightful. For example, Dr. Sethi and Ms. Sujata, I think rightly and concisely and also beautifully summarized the benefits and strengths of wood as a building material, as well as the recent trends of the industry. And also it was informative for me as well, as you addressed some gaps, like in skills and technology, which I thought maybe JICA could possibly play a good part in. And also Dr. Yasoda and Dr. Nicodemus, also, it was really interesting for me that you pointed out that low productivity has to be addressed. And it was really interesting to know the scientific and technological approaches to address those shortcomings. And I was really also impressed as when you refer to institute and industry and farmer linkage, which I think was a model which JICA can pursue in our new projects. So as a conclusion, so I'm humbly request today's audiences, our fellow colleagues at Forest Department, to please discuss with your colleagues and your bosses at your respective states about what kind of roles your department can play in promotion and development of the wood-based industries. Because I understood from the 4 presentations that you would be playing extremely important roles for the development of responsible, accountable, and sustainable development of the industry. So thank you so much for your presentations.
Yeah. Questions, please.
My question is to IWST scientists. We have, like, other than forestry species, agri-wood, you keep saying. Is there a possibility to establish processing protocols and all that for oil palm? I have read that in Malaysia and Indonesia, where huge extent of oil palm is under cultivation, which is happening in our state too right now. Telangana, huge, I mean, in thousands of hectares are being converted into oil palm plantations done by horticulture department. We were really wondering if this also can be added to our wood production or timber production outside, you know, the forest areas. If that can be done, it can at least, you know, small timber, I'm not sure, but we would like to explore.
Yeah, ma'am. Actually, whenever we identify any new species, we take some exploratory trial for the timber. Basically, we need to see whether it is possible to veneer it. Okay, and today even for short girth timbers also, we do have machines which can peel the veneers. So if we can collaborate, we can identify what would be the actual recovery from the material and whether it is beneficial for commercial implementation based on the end-use products.
Because in the wood balance study, which is completed by IWST for Telangana recently, these aspects are not covered. So, I mean, underestimation of the wood that's being produced outside forest areas. So this is what I would request IWST to look into.
Sure, ma'am, because being a monocut, there is a gradient in the density from the periphery to surface. We have studied coconut and borassus, these 2 palms. So it will be almost like similar. So definitely we can take up, like few portion can straight away go for solid wood applications. The inner portion can go for composites. Even in Malaysia, they have been using in a larger scale for these oil palms for composites, madam. We can definitely explore that. Thank you.
Back side में उधर last.
Thank you to all the presenters. It was a very, very educative session. I have two questions actually. One is basically, on the one hand, we say that we have a huge deficit of wood available from now on, right? Let's say 2030, we have 165 million meter cube of deficit. On the other hand, we are also saying that we should promote wood-based housing, right? You see the dichotomy there, right? And what are the solutions? And perhaps one of the presenters also said that maybe the efficiency of it's not that we lack plantation area, it's just that our efficiency is not up to the mark, to the whatever global standards. Do you think that is the only possible pathway to bridge the gap between availability of the wood as well as the technologies that you want to promote in, for example, construction? So that's the question number one. Second, as a research institutes, I mean, both of you are very, very distinguished research institutes. Have you found any local varieties which can be grown quickly and which can be used as housing construction raw materials, right? Using any process like CLT or making other boards, or maybe like for panels you could have OSBs kind of which are used in the US kind of thing, right? What local varieties of trees are suitable for housing construction if somebody were to promote those varieties? Thank you.
This is really a pertinent question when we talk about promoting wood. On the other hand, we don't have any wood supply. Sir, this plantations has never been taken as an industry in India particularly. Yesterday you might have seen in Japan, they are going 10,000 square hectares of plantation at a time. Okay, in such a massive scale we have never gone into it. Okay, that is the first thing that we should address. You know, of course, if you want to bridge the gap, we have to go for production because import is not a sustainable solution. We have to. And fortunately, we have almost like 1,500 timber species which are capable of producing, you know, commercial timber. We are blessed with so many species. And if you see Western countries like Japan or maybe in any temperate countries, they have hardly 6 to 7 species and they are dependent on that. But unfortunately, we are not able, we have never encashed those, nature's gift so far. And as far as local species are concerned, like I'll give an example. If you go to northern part of India, so poplar and eucalyptus, they have been dominating the market, and even the entire plywood industry is dependent on those things. And if you go to southern part of India, Melia dubia is coming in a big way, and silver oak, these two. In fact, Casuarina also started coming up to the plywood industries. So there are few species that right now dependent, but they are mostly catering to the needs of, you know, traditional composite industries. But when you talk about building construction like CLT and GLT, in fact, we are not sure which species will be capable. So the first study we did just 4 years back about the suitability of our domestic, our native species for CLT and GLT. We tried with Melia dubia and silver oak. They are quite good. They are performing well as far as the international standards are concerned. This properties-wise quite good. But the only thing is durability is a major concern for silver oak, not for the Melia. And eucalyptus is no doubt is a very good choice, but the weight is pretty high. Okay, you know, as a structural material, because weight is a criteria, you know, in material index, but it can find application for columns, like when you go for glue lamps. And you'll be surprised to know that one industry has come up, sir, in Siliguri. It's a GLT manufacturing with like international facilities. So they are capable of producing almost like 40 feet length beams. And they got a very good contract from Bhutan where they are going to develop a wooden city. Okay, so it's happening in a very slow pace, but we are taking a baby step. Hopefully, in next 1 decade, we'll have a lot of answers to give. Right now, in fact, it's pretty beginning stage, sir. Thank you.
Any other questions? Otherwise, yeah, please be quick.
I'm sorry for taking too much of your time for this. What can JICA do to first, so you mentioned two parts of it, what can JICA do to bridge that supply gap? That's one thing. And second, there are, based on technologies, you mentioned that silver oak or other Milia dubia might be suitable. We know that in Japan there are technologies available that virtually any wood, and those woods are much more softer, right, in the Western countries, which are able to use as structural elements to the construction. So what do you expect from Japan side to what kind of technologies will be most beneficial in terms of bringing using Indian wood to construct Indian houses?
Okay. Japan is well known for, earthquake structures, okay. And when we promote wood, we should first target to the altitude areas like J&K, Ladakh, and northeast places, which are ecologically very sensitive areas where concrete structures should be discouraged. In those cases, definitely Japanese technology will come in a big way to construct this housing sector. And in fact, we have recently we are approached by a Japanese Wood Export Council to test their material, like Cryptomeria japonica, Japanese Suji, and Hinoki. Those two materials as per Indian standard, and see their behavior in Indian context. So yeah, it is in the pipeline. Hopefully, we'll be able to do that. So I am telling that right now, if you don't have wood for mass timber, there is nothing wrong in importing. That industry which is in Siliguri, they are using Canadian wood, Douglas fir, because which is already well established in European market as a structural grade material, and their grading systems are quite intact. Even same is with Japan. They have their materials are well graded. So those materials, though maybe light, Cryptomeria japonica and Hinoki, though they are very light in density, but they are still being used as a structural material in Japan. So I think those materials can be really viable, particularly in building construction in high altitudes. Okay, and one part we have to look into the termite and those, that being a tropical country, that is a major concern. But hybrid technologies are there. There are wooden houses in India which is standing from the last centuries. It's not that it's quite new. We can't address that. And sir, this primary timbers, like our native species, what I told, it still has to be included in the building codes. It's not there because we don't have enough data so far. We are in the process of developing those data. Once it is generated, we will be supplying it to the Bureau of Indian Standard, and eventually it will be added up in the building codes. Right now, it's not there. Yeah, thank you.
Just one short question, Dr. Yashoda. We are importing a lot of teak. Has there any comparison been done of the quality of that teak which we are importing, maybe 15 to 20 year rotation? And I am told Indonesia, we are getting something which may be 10-year rotation. So the strength properties of that imported teak vis-a-vis our own timber, Maharashtra or Raipur or whatever, because we have much liking to the Indian timber, visibly the aesthetic sense as well as the preferences for that Indian timbers.
Yes, sir. Imported timber, we don't have a specific standard. We get even illegally harvested timber in the country. We get immature. Even they say that 6-year teak can be harvested. Certain African countries harvest at the age of 10 years, and we import all those kind of teak material in the country. We don't have a specific prescription because it varies with the price. The diameter of the log is higher, the length of the log is higher, the price is higher. So accordingly, the price only determines the import as of now.
One short question. Do you think the time has come to have something like quality control orders for imported teak? Because we have quality control orders for panel discuss and other things.
True, sir. True. Like already, there are certain Australian companies working with Indonesia, Myanmar, and some of these Philippines like that. They are into the timber tracking, DNA validity chain, all those things. So definitely, we need to be precautious that we want these kind of logs only in the country like that. Particularly illegally logged timber, we need not import here.
Sir, you asked about the quality of this imported teak. Sir, no doubt, I have seen the density, normal Indian teak density is somewhere around 600 kg. but this imported can even come down to 450 to 500, sir. It's pretty low as compared to that. And second thing is the color is darker, sir. It is always like blackish in color. And sir, the teak is aesthetic because of these growth rings. And closer the spacing of the growth rings, better is the look, aesthetics. But in case of imported teak, as you know that the harvesting age, rotation is around 15 to 20 years. 22 is in Brazil maximum. So in 22 years, you are getting a teak which is like 100 years in our country. So definitely the aesthetic will be inferior, sir.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. As I told in the beginning, we had first presentation related to certification. Now we have completed the scientific input in agroforestry, and we will be coming to the public policy in the coming presentations. So in between, while we were packing our bags to join this workshop, Niti Aayog released its report. The report is actually Scenario Towards Viksit Bharat and Net Zero. Very recently released. I think we all need to go through that report, because there is a big word that net zero, where we assume that forestry sector has a very big role, agroforestry has a very big role to play, and currently we are discussing that. We have to see what responsibility has been given in that report to this sector, what are the expectations from this sector, or is there any responsibility or any expectation at all been given in the report. With this much, I thank all the speakers, panelists. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much. We must give a very special round of applause for our befitting chair and co-chair. They have managed 4 speakers so well and accommodated questions also. Thank you so much. I hope this method and time management will help further chairpersons who would be chairing next sessions. So, ladies and gentlemen, with this we will be moving for our felicitation for our panelists. I would be requesting Chairperson Shri Dharamdev Rai and Co-Chairperson Ms. Iha Chinastu to kindly come and join us at the center of the stage. We would be calling now Dr. A. Sethi, IWST Bangalore, to kindly come and receive a token of appreciation. Ms. Iha Chinatsu can join. Can we have Ms. Sujatha D? Dr. R. Yasodha is requested to come and receive this token of appreciation as a gesture of love and respect from our end. Dr. A. Nicodemus. I request our panelists to be there on the stage. And now the felicitation of our chairperson and co-chairperson. For that, I would be humbly requesting Sri T. Ashok Kumar, Regional Chief Conservator of Forests, Sambalpur Circle, to kindly come and join us on the dais. With a round of applause, with some energy, we can welcome him right on the stage. And first, he would be felicitating Sri Dharamdev Rai, our chairperson for Theme 2 session. And our co-chairperson, Ms. Iha Chinatsu. And time for a group photograph. So please join us. Thank you so much. Thank you. I request all of you to kindly be seated below the stage and be a part of next programs. Ladies and gentlemen, we now present a short documentary on the Livelihood Transformation Initiative under OFSDP Phase 2, highlighting how revolving fund mobilization support is empowering forest-dependent communities and strengthening sustainable livelihoods. But before that, I request all of you to take a pause. The serving staffs and the technical staff, let the video be played, then they can change if it is required. So can we play the video?
For forest fringe communities, livelihoods are closely tied to nature. Under Odisha Forestry Sector Development Project Phase 2, livelihoods are no longer just about survival. They are about stability, dignity, and opportunity. Just like beyond the last mile delivery approach to sustain the life. Livelihood improvement under OFSDP 2 follows a clear pathway, starting with community institutions, strengthening enterprises, and finally connecting producers to markets. Revolving funds of 2 lakh rupees provided to each Van Suraksha Samiti acts as seed capital. Through this support, thousands of self-help groups, common interest groups, and poorest of the poor households access small loans to start income-generating activities, building confidence and financial independence under the OFSDP2 project area. Each village now has a common facility, VSS Building cum Income Generation Activity Facilitation Center. These hubs support planning, skill training, storage, and enterprise development, bringing livelihoods closer to home. Livelihoods scale up through cluster-based development. Multi-product clusters aggregate forest and farm produce, enable value addition, and improve market access, turning local skills into viable enterprises. 7 multi-product clusters are already operational. Dhenkanal's cashew cluster leads in turnover, while sal leaf, pulses, and lemongrass clusters continue to generate steady incomes for hundreds of families under OFSDP2 initiative. The Livelihood Resource Center provides technical hand-holding, supporting business planning, product testing, FSSAI registration, branding, and market readiness. Through convergence with 41 government departments, livelihoods expand beyond forestry, agriculture, horticulture, fisheries, infrastructure, and health services together touch more than 26 lakh lives. In Satoyama landscapes, organic farming, apiculture, livestock rearing, and new crops strengthen incomes while protecting ecosystems, proving that conservation and livelihoods can grow together. Participation in state-level fairs opens new markets. Products crafted by SHGs find recognition, confidence grows, and communities see the true value of their work. Under OFSDP2, livelihoods are no longer limited by location. From forest to future, communities are building sustainable pathways, rooted in nature, strengthened by markets.
I believe this is the right time that you might shift your look towards the back of the stage, and from my angle it is last left, extreme left. You can see we have put some multi-product clusters, and you can go and have a look on the products what we are actually developing and working. Some samples are there, and I believe this can be used let's say for corporate gifting or day-to-day use, and you can refer, and your word of mouth and your specific recommendations will actually boost their morale who are working relentlessly for the same. Thank you so much. Ladies and gentlemen, now the third and important session, theme 3, the green wood economy, industry investment and policy pathways. This session explores the expansion of wood-based industries from a private sector perspective, global transformation experience and investment pathways that can accelerate growth in the green wood economy. This conversation is pivotal as India positions itself towards a resilient and investment-ready green wood economy. Indeed, it aligns with our Honorable PM's vision of Atmanirbhar Bharat and also our Honorable CM Samrat Odessa. Moving ahead, I would be now taking some more time to invite our esteemed chairperson and co-chairperson. The session will be chaired by Srimati N. Satija, IFS, CCF and CEO, Campa, Telangana Forest Department. She is a distinguished officer of the Indian Forest Service 2005 batch Telangana cadre, currently serving as the Chief Conservator of Forest and Chief Executive Officer of Campa within the Telangana Forest Department. Apart from working in territorial, social, forestry, forest academy roles, her career includes significant leadership roles such as Field Director of the Amrabad Tiger Reserve, where she focused on wildlife monitoring and community conservation, and Curator of the Nehru Zoological Park in Hyderabad. Known for her expertise in biodiversity conservation and administrative management, she now oversees the strategic utilization of Campa funds to drive afforestation, habitat restoration, and forest infrastructure development across the state. Already there, gracing the dais, can we give a round of applause as a welcome gesture from our end? Ladies and gentlemen, now time to invite our co-chairperson, Mr. Nishihara Ryosuke, representative from JICA India, where he focuses on managing and facilitating international development cooperation between Japan and India. His work involves overseeing JICA's extensive portfolio of official development. Welcome, please be a part of on the stage ODA projects, particularly those related to rural development, community livelihoods, and environmental sustainability. He plays a significant role in coordinating with state governments and Indian forest departments to implement technical and financial cooperation, such as the Himachal Pradesh Forest Ecosystem Management and Livelihood projects, which aims to enhance ecosystem service and improve the socio-economic conditions of local communities. Through his role, Mr. Nishihara ensures that JICA-funded initiatives effectively integrate Japanese expertise in sustainable resource management with India's local developmental goals. Both of them are there already. We welcome them. And let's invite our eminent panelist for this particular session, Mr. Gauri Sankar Patnaik from JK Paper Mill. Sir, you are requested to come and join us on the dais. From Nomura Research Institute, Japan, we are pleased to welcome Mr. Arpit Agarwal. Yeah, this can be, I think we can give some more energy. And last but not the least, presentation on the experience of country-focused training in Japan will be rendered by none other than Shri Swayam Malik, IFS Joint Project Director, Odisha Forestry Sector Development Project, Phase 2. We welcome our chairperson, co-chairperson, and our panelists over to chairperson to take the session forward.
Thank you. A very good afternoon to all, and welcome to the last technical session of this national level workshop. I think after the deliberations in the last two sessions, this session, Greenwood Economy, Industry Investment and Policy Pathways, can give us an idea as to how we can fill the gap in demand. As in one of the presentations by IWST, it is mentioned that there is 165 million metric cube of supply gap. And the two speakers now in this panel, particularly the first one, JK Paper Mill, will give their views from the private sector perspective, and from Nomura Research Institute will present the global cross-border perspective with regard to India and Japan, and Mr. Swayam Malik will give us an insight into the Japanese forestry initiatives and sector. So I welcome the co-chair, Mr. Nishihara Ryosuke, and we can open the panel and request Mr. Gauri Shankar Patnaik to please go ahead with the presentation. Thank you.
Thank you, madam. Thank you, Odisha Forest Department, for inviting me for this presentation. And I'll try to put my insights into what exactly is required for in wood-based industries.
Sorry, I'll just introduce Mr. Gauri Shankar. He is a titan of the paper and pulp industry with a career spanning over 4 decades. Postgraduate in chemistry with advanced TRM credentials from IIM Bangalore. He serves as the head of quality assurance and technical services at JK Paper Limited. And he also oversees PAPRI and the organization's ESG initiatives. Through a storied career of with many industry giants like ITC, Built, etc., he is a leading authority on product development across quoted and unquoted grades. Beyond his corporate leadership, he is also a qualified NABL assessor and a respected member of global bodies like TAPI and FICCI. He is also a celebrated author, noted for his quality assurance in industry and relationship revolution. His contributions to the field have earned him the International Excellence Award in 2023 and 2026 for his academic references, along with recent accolades as the most influential quality assurance leader and the Corporate Leadership Award for Excellence.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you. To start with, so a brief about JK Paper Limited and farm forestry and sustainability, energy efficiency, and some accolades. So JK Paper or JK organization is a conglomerate of 140 years old with 12 verticals, and annual turnover is $4 billion US, 30 manufacturing plants, present in 100 countries with 40,000 employees. So these are the founders of JK Paper Limited, Juggilal, Kamlapat, Singhanias. One is Juggilal and other Kamlapat. And this is about the milestones of JK Paper. It started in 1962, and right now we have 3 plants in India. One is in Rayagada, Odisha, and Surat in Gujarat, and Sirpur in Telangana. And we have the capacity of 335,000 of tons of paper, and we produce up to 340,000 with a consent of 350,000. So this is the journey. The old plants blue and shut plants are red in color, and our green, we started our green journey of production from 2008 onwards, and we say ourselves as green manufacturing plant today. So this is the process of paper making. From wood handling to pulp mill to paper, then conversions, then we have a steam and power plant, we have our own generation, and chlorine dioxide plant. Recovery island is there where we recover the chemicals back. And if you see, 66% of the power comes from our lignin, which comes from out of the waste. We think it is waste, but we produce energy out of lignin, wood lignin. And some more, around 5% more, we use biomass for power generations. So this is the portfolio, product portfolio from 1963 till date. These are all green products, what we produce today. Plastic replacements in the industry. This is the highest growth products in India and the world today, and around 10 to 12% growth rate. So under farm forestry, we have 17 numbers of greenhouses covering 5,500 meters of area, square meters, and we produce more than 3 crore clones distribution to farmers. And totally it is engineered product. What paper industry requires for maximum efficiency, we put into that, and we produce the wood for our production. Yeah, this is a very interesting slide. You see, 10 years back, we were sourcing the wood from about 1/3 of the country, and now it is consolidated to only 200 kilometers radius, covering Odisha, Andhra Pradesh, and Chhattisgarh. Mostly it is Odisha and Andhra Pradesh, that is southern part of Odisha, and Andhra Pradesh, Chhattisgarh is around 4 to 5%. But sometimes it happens that due to shortage of food, we have to import, and we import from Malaysia or Thailand or Brazil. Not only we, the paper industries bigger like ITC or Built or we import a lot of wood chips or in form of logs from other countries. Yeah. Progressive farm forestry programs, that if you can see, as on date, we are making 350,000, lakh plants, and we plant it every year. Partnering with 19,500 farmers, and till now we have already planted 1,35,000 hectares of land. Total plantation within 200 kilometers are around 80%, and total plantation area is in that is every year around 12,000. This is last year it is 11,900, and this year we are going to touch 13,000. Clone distributed at 350 lakhs. Yeah, this is the circular economy what we have. Every part of the wood is used, and our solid waste zero. We don't dump any solid waste into the land. From the beginning, the wood, when it is chipped, we produce some dust, that is around 1.5 to 2%. That is being used in the boiler for energy. Then fly ash from the boilers or the power plant, that is used for constructions. And brown sludge, whatever comes out, previously it was going for some board mills, that is egg trays or book covers. Now that we are again recirculating into the system. And white sludge, whatever comes, it was taken by low-grade paper mills. Now we use it ourselves. And from wood, whatever lignin comes out, that lignin is used for power generation. We burn it, we make steam, and we generate power. That is 66% of the total power required that we consume every day, around 40 megawatt of power. And out of that, 70% comes out from this lignin and biomass. And we generate our cooking liquor from this black liquor, and we use some lime to react, and we make sodium hydroxide. And from there again we get calcium carbonate. The calcium carbonate is burnt into in lime kilns, and the lime kiln produces again lime from calcium carbonate. That lime is used again recirculated for making the white liquor. And calcium carbonate is one of the best fillers for paper on earth, and we produce that from whatever carbon dioxide we emit, that is used for making the carbon dioxide by reacting lime. So we don't buy anything from outside. And whatever SOG gases in the process of recovery we produce, we convert it to methanol and we use for as fuel. So this is the totally the circular economy what we follow. So wood can be used in so many ways. So this is the sustainability card. You can say overall plantations, if you can see 12,000 hectares, sapling distributed 350 lakhs, and farmers plantation it is 19,500 farmers are planting the trees. FSC certified 7,500. FSC controlled wood. Our 100% wood is FSC, COC and controlled wood it is. Plantation area it is 9,600. Absolute emission is around 3 lakh tons of carbon dioxide equivalent, but we sequester 7 times, that is 21 lakhs of carbon dioxide we sequester from the atmosphere. And power generation is only 957 kilowatts per ton of paper. Raw materials we use, the primary raw materials are eucalyptus, casuarina, acacia, subabul, and bamboo. And bamboo, it is Dendrocarpus strictus, that is Daba bamboo. So these are the species from where we get more efficiency and more yield out of the wood we use. We are one of the top yielding paper industry in India and the world. 40–43% of yield is there from the wood. The alternative uses bark we use for power, mulch, compost and soil conditioners, conversion of residues into briquettes, pellets and charcoal, extraction of tannins, resins and biochemicals from the bark, utilization of mill waste for particle board, MDF and bioproducts. Challenges what we have, Odisha is a wood deficit state. We get only 40% of wood of total consumption and rest 60% comes from either neighboring states or imports. Though we have the forest cover, but we are not getting from the forest cover. Still, you see, in 2014-15, we were getting from across the country. Today, we are consolidated in the neighboring states only. But we are trying still, though we are getting from 200 kilometers radius, we are sourcing at around 140 kilometers. It gives a better yield, better logistics, and also carbon emissions. Scope 3 carbon emissions we have to reduce. So we are working on those things. Erodes competitiveness of JKPM due to transport raw material from distant areas, loss of revenue and economic development opportunity for state and its people. Some facts: recorded forest area is 6.2 million hectares. I think these facts are already there with you all. Actual forest area is 5.2 and degraded forest is 2.3. So that can be utilized for these plantations. So despite the land and opportunity available, Odisha is a wood deficit state. Government lands and degraded forest can be utilized productively. Degraded forest land will degrade further if not planted. No policy for pulpwood plantations by OFDC, unlike other states. Suggested, declare farm forestry wood casuarina, subabul, eucalyptus, acacia as agriculture products, as it is already there in AP. Promote free trade for farm forestry wood, exemption from permits, similar restrictions like AP, Punjab, Haryana, etc., some other states which having. Promotion of farm forestry development, promote planting of suitable, whatever required species, supply of subsidized high quality planting material, financial support for pitting, planting and maintenance, extension support and training, allow plantation of fast growing species on government lands, pulpwood plantation also on forest land, and recent amendments in FCA 1/23 allowing fast growing species as afforestation activity through working plants. Thrust on research through OUAT, FRIs, KVKs for high yielding clones. And we also produce very high yielding clones every year, and profitable agroforestry models for benefit of farmers. What are the benefits? Employment generation, wood generation, carbon credits, environmental benefits, benefits to exchequer. What JK can do: quality planting material, high yield clones developed by JK suitable for rain-fed plantation in Odisha, technical know-how and extension services, tie-up for raw material to be produced, technical international certification experience. Our 100% raw material procured by JKPM is FSC, COC, COW certified, and 50,000 hectares farm forestry plantation under international FSC, FM certification. So the energy efficiency, we have a capacity of 58 megawatt power plants, but we utilize 40 megawatt.
Please speed up.
Yeah, done it is. So this is the plan we have by 2030, our aspirational target to stop fossil fuel, and 100% we go for biomass with the action plans we have. Some endorsements globally and local. Odisha Best Employer, Apex India Occupation Health and Safety, Green Tech 24th Global Environment Award, CSR Award, Organization Highest Quality Orientation Award, CIA National Energy Leader Award. Energy Leader Award comes in a row if you get energy awards for 3 years. Some British Council National Safety Awards, IRI Manufacturing Competitiveness Award, Golden Peacock, Odisha Energy Conservation Award, Green Tech Environment Award, CIA National Award for Excellence, Mill Manager of the Year Award. So this is what in 1963 and today 26, it is the position of our mill with all advanced technologies and the performances. Thank you.
Thank you. I now request Mr. Arpit Agarwal from Nomura Research Institute, Japan. Shri Arpit Agarwal is a partner and the Center Head of Global Knowledge Center at Nomura Research Institute, a leading Japanese management consulting firm. Before NRI, he has worked with leading global firms such as McKinsey and KPMG. He has 20 years of experience in energy and natural resource sector, advising governments and corporations on sector transformation, market entry strategies, and sustainable growth models. Over the years, he has worked closely with Japanese companies operating in India and has supported several Japanese firms in evaluating and entering the Indian market. This gives him a unique cross-border perspective, combining deep understanding of the Indian ecosystem with insights into Japanese corporate priorities, risk considerations, and long-term strategic thinking. Given his experience, his perspective on how Indo-Japanese collaboration can support the evolution of India's wood and forestry sector will be particularly valuable for today's discussion. I welcome you to the presentation. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am, for the nice introduction. Jai Jagannath. So, namaskar and konnichiwa. My name is Arpit, as ma'am introduced, and I am from Nomura Research Institute. So, we are almost 1.5 days into this conference, and we have heard the word 5th generation ODA loan and WX, wood transformation. So maybe many of us have an understanding, but let me discuss more about this today from the Japanese perspective, or what Japan is thinking on this. So I will be covering 5 topics today. Let me introduce my company. It will give you a good perspective. Then I will talk about some facts, global, India and Japan. Then we'll talk main topic like overview of wood transformation study. Since we are a Japanese company, we keep interacting with Japanese company. We want to tell you the perspective, what Japanese companies think about the India wood sector and what are their needs, requirements, challenges. So all the policymakers are sitting here, and some action might be needed from your side. And then finally, I would like to conclude the presentation. I would like to keep it short, but let's discuss. So, NRI is one of the largest and oldest management consulting company of Japan. We established in 1965. So, almost more than 60 years old company now. And we are one of the largest think tank. We work with government, private companies. We are a Tokyo Stock Exchange listed company with revenue of $5 billion and 15 billion of market cap. So it's a big company. And we are present across globe, but majority of our presence is in Asia. We are working on diverse sectors as well as different domains. And for wood, we are focusing on energy and environment and sustainability. So this conference, we have an expertise in this area. And we are not only working for private companies, we are working social issues and business issues both. So we are trying to solve social issues through businesses. So that is our USP. So this is about our introduction of my company, NRI. So let's talk about some facts. I think this is important to understand where we stand. India forestry sector or India wood consumption, where we stand. So this is per capita wood consumption we have calculated from FAO. And if you see, most of the developed countries have a very high per capita wood consumption. Of course, we can say much of our wood consumption is not accounted. So if it's not accounted or counted, it's not coming to the economy. right? So we should try to make our wood consumption more countable. It should be part of a mainstream economy, and Mr. Gaur talked about certification. So, I mean, if this not accounted, no need of certification. And if you see, India stands at 0.04, which is 1/23 of USA and 1/4 of Japan in terms of per capita consumption, right? And if we go with our Prime Minister vision of Viksit Bharat by 2047, and we are focusing on growing manufacturing, service, semiconductor, wood needs to be part of that whole ecosystem. We cannot ignore wood sector, forestry sector. So all of us needs to work on it, how we can increase our per capita wood consumption. The chart on the left side shows our ranking or our share of wood consumption in overall globe. With a population of 18%, we consume only 3% of wood. So this is a huge opportunity to increase our wood consumption. So this is very important. So in terms of per capita, in terms of overall wood consumption, we are lagging behind. I think this has been talked by several speakers and panelists that our imports are rising, production is stagnant. So if we check our production from last 5 years, is stagnant. Domestic production is almost stagnant. Of course, due to limited agroforestry capacity, and forests are not timber source, mainly, right? So we are not allowed to harvest our forest. Increasing imports, and because of this, reducing share in India's GVA, gross value added, or we can also say GDP. So in 2019, it was 1.5. In 2023, is 1.3. All other sectors are contributing to the India's GDP, but wood sector, forestry sector is lagging behind or is declining. I want to compare some facts with Japan. It's a conference organized by JICA. We are a Japanese company. So we are mainly dependent on tree outside forest. 30% of it, of our wood supply is this. Whereas in Japan, if we talk about the ownership, so 57% forests are privately owned, 12% are owned by public forest, and 31% are national forest. And private players can harvest the forest through some regulations with a plan, okay? So this way, they are able to maintain the ecology with economy. So they are harvesting by maintaining the ecology. Let me show you some more facts about Japan. So 40% of Japan forests are planted forest. I mean, they have been planted after World War II. And the forestry was a focus. They have been planted to harvest by private players. And 64% of these planted forests are over 50 years old, right? So you can see how much carbon sink they are doing it, and they are ready to harvest now. So if India wants to do something in this, we need to plant now, and we can reap benefit after 30 or 40 years. In terms of consumer side, wood is also a big sector. Wood is consumed in housing sector as well. 55% of new homes in Japan are wooden. So Dr. Shetty showed some wooden houses and usage in California and others. Japan is also building wooden houses. 55% of it, of all houses in Japan are wooden houses. And 94% uses pre-cut construction methodology or new technologies like CTL, cross timber laminate, or GTL. So these kind of technologies are being used in Japan. Let me talk about wood transformation. So we are hearing this word quite a few times in this conference. So JICA coined the term wood transformation, and NRI, as their research partner, is conducting a project. And the focus is across the full value chain, starting from forests to timber to processing to wood products to construction. So this is the whole value chain, how we want to look forestry and wood sector. Objective is afforestation and forest management, encourage sustainable wood processing technology, and promote prefabricated wooden housing construction. So these are the key objectives of this program, and of course, benefits are ecological sustainability, climate adaptation, technological advancement, employment creation. JICA and Japan wants to promote industrial collaboration in wood sector between India and Japan through government and private sector participation. So we need to treat wood as an industrial sector, and government and JICA is willing to support in this endeavor. Let me deep dive into this, what we exactly mean. So we want to promote a sustainable wood economies through wood transformation, and we need to start with promote wooden construction. I'm taking it other way around. We always say first we should have supply, then we should have a demand. But I want to go by first we should have demand. Let's see then what we need. We need to promote wooden construction. I mean, I'm building my house, and for me, wood is a luxury. I can go to MDF, HDF, but wood is very expensive, right? So we need to promote wooden construction. Then we need to improve processing technology. Ms. Sujata mentioned that we need very high-tech technology for cutting, etc. Then strengthen timber supply. And this could become a cycle, right? For wooden construction, we need to create awareness about sustainable construction. Someone mentioned in conference, there is always a dilemma between deforestation and higher wood usage. But both of things can go hand in hand. We don't need to choose either or. It can go both. Then for technology, we need to introduce advanced material and technologies. And next point is very important, build skilled workforce capacity. So we should not call them carpenters. We can call them technicians, or we can call some cabinet engineers, etc. We need to upgrade the capability of our woodworkers. And third is promote agroforestry expansion and sustainable forest harvesting while maintaining tree covers. A lot of these points were touch base in morning sessions, like we need to increase yield, etc. But how to do this, right? So if we stay here, it's difficult. We need some catalyst. And I think all the participants present here can act as a catalyst. State governments, along with JICA, can work as a catalyst and roll this wheel. Once this wheel starts rolling, I think everything will fall in place. So what we want to say is promote wood as carbon sink and carbon storage. So carbon sink means growing forest, and carbon storage means buildings. This is an example of Japan, how Japan is doing. So if you look at the left-hand side topmost, planted forest, so they planted forest. Then they had a standards for wood products. They also have standards for building. Again, Shetty sir mentioned there are no building codes in India. This is very true. And if someone is building a wooden house, it's counted as a temporary arrangement, right? So there is no kind of definition of wooden house in India. We need to work on it. We need to have a standards. And then policy promotes wood house in public buildings. So CPW banned wood usage in 1996. But Japan is promoting wood. In 2010, they made it mandatory for any government building needs to use wood for 3-story buildings. So that kind of initiatives or that kind of activities are done in Japan to promote wood usage. Let me go quickly to the expectations of Japanese companies. So one of a very good thing is Japanese companies are very, very eager to enter into Indian market. Whomsoever we talked, they say, of course, India is a growing market and we want to be a key player in this market, but they need right policy support and market access. Let me talk. So, okay. So what Japanese industry is currently thinking? So as I said, they consider India as a long-term market, and they don't want to come in one part of the value chain. They want to be across the value chain of Indian forestry sector, starting from afforestation, forest management, processing, engineered wood, wooden housing. So they want to be throughout. They want to be a real estate player, making wooden houses, selling it. They want to be forestation. They want to be making high wood like CLT, etc. And they are willing to collaborate with government and Indian companies. But what are the current challenges they are facing? One and the foremost challenge is limited availability of timber. So private players are not allowed to not allowed to cut forests, even if they are ready to ready to replant them, as well as degraded forest also is not open for them. Another is there are a lot of import restrictions. So Japanese sugi and hinoki species, which are cedar and cypress, are not under Schedule 6 and 7. And also quarantine regulations are different related to fumigation. So they cannot import Japanese wood into India due to restrictions. And of course, lack of building codes for wooden construction. Then what are their expectations? What they want from government, what they want from Indian side? Enable regulated private participation in degraded forest land afforestation and harvesting. In Japan or Japanese companies in US or in Australia, New Zealand, Indonesia, manage thousands of hectares of land or forest areas. They are replanting it, harvesting it, again replanting it, harvesting it. They are not compromising on ecology, they are not compromising on environment. So they want some kind of mechanism in India as well. Second is allow them to import Japanese species, promote wood usage in public construction, and maybe some kind of a pilot project could be done in some states, ecotourism sites, or some projects where they can demonstrate their capability and create carbon credit mechanism, especially under JCM methodology. So they need some changes there, which can be done. So Japan-India collaboration in forestry sector can strengthen timber security, create carbon sinks, promote low carbon construction in India. Okay, so this is the, I think, second last slide of mine. So what we want to propose, right? So we want to propose a G2G plus private sector collaboration. If wood sector need to leapfrog, we need to involve private sector. It's very difficult without the involvement of private sector. Japan have done in the past in terms of Delhi Metro or in terms of Maruti Suzuki. They were the pioneers who have introduced, and whole auto industry changed after that. This thing can be done in Japan, in wood sector as well. We need to be open-minded. So we have 3 suggestions. So we need to do R&D collaboration on species and forest management. There should be some joint research. Dr. Yashoda also mentioned about high yield species, how can be done. We can bring some technologies or best practices from Japan. And next is wood construction demonstration project, basically in the building and house construction. Some pilot projects needs to be done, maybe JICA can support, or some state government needs to take initiative. And third, and the last one is capacity building for wood construction, wood processing and construction. New kind of technologies are coming up. We need to train our people. We need to create employment opportunities at local level. If a big factory will come up, it will create a lot of employment for farmers, it will create a lot of employment for local people. And we need to provide training. This can be done with the government. And just to conclude my presentation, I have 4 key points, is just recap. India's wood demand is significantly lower than in developed economy, where wood construction is encouraged as a climate-friendly solution. We need to increase wood usage as a climate-friendly solution. We need to move from forest conservation to wood transformation or forest transformation. Of course, Conservation will be its core. Third is adopt global best practices and technologies, and we need to tailor them to India's ecological and market realities. But we need to reinvent the wheel. We can leapfrog. We can learn from whatever has been achieved by other developed economies and build over it or adjust over it. So that is very important. And fourth and the last one is government along with JICA needs to act as a catalyst by creating a conducive environment to promote wood-based economy. So Indian government officials, JICA and private sector, all three needs to work together to transform wood sector. That's all. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Arpit. And now the last session, it's by Mr. Swayam Malik. He is an IFS officer of 2010 batch of Odisha cadre, presently serving as Joint Project Director, Odisha Forestry Sector Development Project. He also serves as Director Commercial and Director Operations in Odisha Forest Development Corporation. He has a master's degree in chemistry from IIT Delhi and also holds a master's degree in economics from University of Texas at Austin, USA, under Fulbright Fellowship Program. He has a diverse experience of 13 years in various forest divisions under the Department of Forest, Environment and Climate Change in Government of Odisha. He is also a recipient of the United Nations Environment Program, Asia Environmental Enforcement Award for the year 2021. I now welcome him to give his presentation. Thank you.
Thank you very much, ma'am. So this is the last presentation of the entire workshop, and I can assure you that you can take home some very good points from this presentation. So to start with, so basically this presentation was inserted as a kind of sharing of the knowledge that is gained as a part of the knowledge co-creation program that is being implemented by JICA across the various states. So what happens is that officers are selected to participate in these training programs, and they were asked to share their experiences. So I had joined the program called Sustainable Forest Management. Sustainable Forest Management and Integrated Watershed Management. So I'll be sharing my key experiences and learning points. So basically I had attended the program way back in 2023, and it was a 23-day program, and the program was spread over 4 phases. So and the program was mainly focused in the Hokkaido region of Japan, a wonderful place to visit actually. Now, some of the learning points, I have summarized that. So I think Arpit-ji, he has just narrated one very beautiful point. This is one of the key points, that in Japan, almost 67% of the total land area is under the forests. And out of the 3 types of ownership, privately owned forests is almost 57%. And they also talk about natural forests and artificial forests. Won't get into the details of that. So this is what I just wanted to focus. Almost 57% of the total forest land is actually privately owned. And we visited the Noporo Forest Park in which is just adjacent to the Obiro Center of JICA. And that is one example which highlighted as to how the land distribution happens in any forest area of Japan. So there's some of the pictures of that area. Another aspect that we were exposed to was the concept of multi-storied forest management, and that too with low density plantation. So as we know, this is an idea of how to diversify our forest management and focus instead of, and it was actually well planned out, how you plan those species, what is the interspecies distance. So this was one area that we visited actually, and they focus on low density plantations also. And the third point that I would like to focus is on the clarity in land use. So if they have created a new forest using various kinds of methodology, then they definitely ascribe one aspect of protection to those forests, like windbreak forests, like we had visited in Sihoro town. They had municipal forests with specific objectives, and certain mixed forests in near Akan Lake also. Next. So this, I will just like to highlight some of these concepts that they have ascribed ascribed to these various forests that they have created, like headwater conservation forest, soil loss preservation forests, then crumbling soil conservation forest. So basically what I want to highlight is that when you visit any area, we specifically know the kind of functionality that has been ascribed to that created forest. So just to give you some ideas of sea salt control forest, windbreak forest that we had actually visited. Then Chizan projects which are mandated by law actually. I think these Chizan projects are being implemented under the Uttarakhand JICA project. We visited the Honbetsu Park restoration works where these Chizan works had been beautifully executed. This is the same park. Just a few glimpses of those areas that we had actually visited. They had actually implemented all those landslide prevention projects in this area. So these are some of the highlights of that area actually. And then we were also exposed to the concepts of new forestry. Under the new forestry, they had highlighted some important concepts like how to go for selection of elite trees, how to focus on containerized seedlings, how to go about low density plantations with less frequent weeding also, and how to improve productivity in log production. So some of these aspects that I would like to highlight. So we went to some of the areas like seed storage facilities which we are exposed to, and I think other than I had seen one facility in Tamil Nadu under the genetics division replicating the same kind of model which currently we are lacking in Odisha. We also visited the Hokkaido Research Organization to experience the use of containerized seedlings in those areas. We also visited a private nursery in Osaka nursery which is supplying containerized seedlings to various kinds of plantation activities. And some of the mechanizations I have posted, all those, some videos are there. Due to paucity of time, I would like to just show one of those pictures actually. Wonderful facility. Can bring some kind of high-tech ideas into our nurseries. Next video to chale dawa. Gero next video to chale. So good amount of mechanization has taken place in those nurseries. Okay, we can go to the next slide. And we are also exposed to some of the concepts of the urban forestry with a different flavor, because what happens is that this is the urban area that we actually visited near Obiro Center. So the area was, they found a very small area and they had built on that area actually over a number of periods. It's not like that the way we just take up urban plantations and we tend to forget about that. So they have virtually utilized every concept of forestry into those areas actually. So this is one urban forest area that we actually visited there. And you can say block-wise they are developing each and every year. And they have also incorporated the concepts of wildlife into those areas, taking some care about those aspects also. Beautiful forests. walkthroughs, everything. So over a number of periods, actually, they have developed these things. We are also exposed to certain livelihood activities pertaining to this shiitake mushroom cultivation, I think, which has been adopted in Himachal Pradesh JICA project. Some of the facilities that we visited into those areas. Next. And another very good aspect of pilot forest that we are also exposed to, multi-storied forests which they had planted almost a long period of time, because originally some primeval mixed forest was degraded and they tried to recover that area. And they had used the concept of eco-restoration in that area, taking aspect of multi-story plantation activities. So we just visited that area from a watchtower. Again, an absolutely amazing scene. And another concept that we were also exposed to was support to private forest owners. As I've already highlighted, almost 57% of the total forest area was privately owned. So definitely they have initiated the concept of forest subsidies as a kind of encouragement mechanism to the various private sector participants. And lastly, I would like to highlight some of the concepts that were also highlighted is the concept of second forest. Actually, they had implemented an act for the promotion of use of wood in public buildings, and they had incorporated that concept into their legal mechanism actually since 2010. So automatically what happens is that a sustained market is available to their private sector participants also. These are some of the facilities that we visited. And I would like to summarize the entire workshop with one theme. When we say that almost 67% of the total area that is available for Japan is forested. And Japan is also the 5th largest economy. Till recently it was the 4th largest economy. So it is the perfect example of the balance between conservation and development actually. So whenever you say there can be conservation and development cannot coexist, perhaps Japan is the best example. Such a high forested area and highly developed also. So I think I can summarize that. And finally, I would like to thank our ex-PD ma'am. Ma'am is sitting here. She had nominated me to attend that training program. Many thanks, ma'am. I would also welcome our current PD sir also. Sir also recently joined for this country-focused training program. Sir would also like to highlight some of the aspects, sir. Sir, please, sir.
Thank you. So with the permission of Chair, thank you, Swayam, for the wonderful presentation. In fact, I'll not be repeating what Swayam has already covered. As he rightly pointed out, their focus training was for mid-level officers. In fact, I was picked up for senior level training. It was for maybe 7 days. So mostly we were confined to Tokyo, attending several organizations and how they work. But we had a wonderful experience of traveling from Tokyo to the north. If I remember correctly, it was Miyagi Prefecture, where we saw in Sendai. I think Sendai is a town which was badly affected by tsunami. So they have taken up excellent coastal rehabilitation using red pine. So that was one of the wonderful sights I have seen. In fact, we can really see how they have seen a problem and they have found a solution. In fact, it's a very difficult site to plant. In fact, in India, we also do coastal reforestation using casuarina. In some states, we have even used cashew. But in Japan, in Sendai, they have used around a width of 1.5 to 2 kilometers completely of red pine. It was a sight to see. In fact, it was a very tough site to plant. The way they have engineered it and planted it, it was very amazing. In fact, it was just a one-day trip. We took a bullet train from Tokyo, landed in Sendai maybe in 2 hours time, and then went around the area and we came back. And the next day, I think we went to Okayama Prefecture. We went to a city called Maniwa, where we were exposed to some wood-based industry. And the technology, what was shown was cross-laminated timber. In fact, I'm not very sure in northern part of India whether we are doing CLT, but of course in ply there is a kind of technology we are using, but CLT was completely new. And very amazingly, I never thought this was only used for housing construction of mid-level houses, but then when we were shown that the potential of CLT for even high-rise buildings, where the beams were used for mostly Japan, as Swayam was saying, they don't have a diverse trees as we have in our country. So it was completely dominated by Japanese cedar. And coastal afforestation, they were mostly confined to pine, either red or black pine. And cedar is one of the prominent species. We saw it as more of an ornamental tree in India, Cryptomeria japonica, but in Japan, it's one of the best trees they are using for timber. And CLT is one of the technology they wanted senior officers to see. And we had interactions with timber-based industries. In fact, that is one of the agenda what JICA is also trying to drive, how CLT can be popularized, and if at all there are takers at India, where we will try to see whether this technology can be adopted. So, in fact, I was not very lucky to see Hokkaido. Certain things happen in your life for some reasons. In fact, when I was picked up for this Japan training, I was picked up as CEO camper, and I never knew I'll land up as PDO FSDP immediately after the training. So I think somebody was planning somewhere. Thank you, JICA. In fact, we enjoyed this training. In fact, even though it was a very short trip, yeah, I should also say, where ma'am was saying, there was a meeting of JICA's Samikya, we call, where all the VSS member. So they invited me as CEO camper to speak, and I was very passionately saying that I have never worked in any JICA divisions. I thought nobody is going to hear that. And immediately after a month, I was asked to go to Tokyo. And immediately after I came back from Tokyo, there was an order to join as PDO FSDP. So there is a larger design. Somebody is designing it. Thank you so much. Thank you, JICA. And let me close here. And thank you, all of you, in fact, for having excellent participation. In fact, whenever you see the second day nearing lunch with this packed house, it's wonderful. A big hand for all of you. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, sir. It was meant to be. With this, I think we come to the conclusion of the session, and I request the co-chair to please summarize the proceedings of this panel. Thank you. Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. 1 or 2, because already I think it's 1:20. So.
Good afternoon, everyone. 2 things I would like to say, not much of a question, but a supplement to the session. Number 1 is, so far as the country focus training is concerned, I can proudly say as a part of XPD that we have sponsored or we have sent or recommended almost 10 to 12 officers for the country focus program over the last so many years. Through the financial assistance of JICA, which is a technical cooperation component. Apart from that, we have also sponsored from state plan budget, which was a component of this project, about, I think, about 20 officers last year. And of course, I have not personally gone, but then we have a whole horde of officers who have visited Japan and have taken up or taken back a lot of learnings from Japan. So My contention to bring this up was for the other states to emulate. You know, when any officer has to be recommended, it should not be me first, number one. Number two is his clearances have to be facilitated. And in fact, the about 20 officers that we sent through state plan funding, all the facilitation was done by the PMU. And their tickets and the records, the papers were handed over to them, and they did not have to run from pillar to post for the clearances. So this should be the attitude. Number two is I would like to congratulate the speakers, more so the speaker from NERI and Swayam. They've put things into context. And taking that forward, in fact, we have to now brainstorm. We have to take up large-scale plantations, no doubt, to fill up the deficit or whatever we say. But the question here is, where are we going to plant them? Because the recorded forests are not open. And what other places do we have? Private lands? Now in India, and specifically with the example of Odisha, more than 75% of land holdings are either small or marginal. And for taking up these plantations or sourcing any industry, you need large-scale plantations. So I would request NERI to quote this as your first challenge so far as you're working in India is concerned. Number two is, I would like to suggest that in your last slide where you had quoted 4 key points, your point number 4 should become point number 1, and point number 3 should become point number 2, followed by the remaining 2 points. Why this is required is that if the government of India and government of Japan get together for taking up these kind of plantations, then there are large-scale policy decisions that need to be made. In Odisha, we already have, thankfully enough, an agroforestry policy recently which has been adopted by the government of Odisha, where we have put in, again they were talking only about the small scale and marginal farmers. So this paper got into my hands, and OFSDS, being the think tank of government of Odisha, got the opportunity of putting in commercial forestry as well as large-scale landowners, large landowners. So not only the small and the marginal landowners have come in, but also the large landholding owners have come into the policy. So somewhere we've made a beginning, but then it has to be in a cluster form for any industry to come up. Otherwise, if the transportation costs would be very heavy. So I think before you actually start taking up plantations, you have to actually look at the modus operandi, how you are going to go about it. And probably the phase 3 of OFSDS to be funded by JICA could be the starting point for this. So my humble submission to the present management of OFSDS is that you should start looking at it from that point of view, because coming back to Dr. Vineet Sarin's presentation, it is not business as usual. You have large requirements to fill in to get further ODA, overseas development agencies loans. So I think we would need to have a lot of thinking on those lines before you can actually draft your DPR, start drafting your DPR. So my submission to the PMU would be that this kind of a thinking process has to be replicated more so that you can come up with some options. Because your previous DPR I'm thorough with will not help. You can't have that kind of a DPR again. So thank you so much.
Thank you, ma'am. Any further questions? Yeah, so I request the co-chair to please conclude the proceedings with
Okay, thank you so much. And I understand that all of you cannot wait lunch, so I'm finishing my comment within 30 seconds. And in my opinion, personally, I was very, very looking forward to hearing from all of you the presentation before doing this panel. And the result is also very informative and insightful for me. Because the first presenters, Mr. Patonaik, I learned your company having a long experience and you already established actual model, successful model in Odisha, and your business is very local-based business. So I think that you can contribute to so many local persons, so many local citizens and the local community. And after hearing your presentation, I was thinking that what is how we can collaborate not only for the one business but also in another project. So expanding is how we can achieve that. So Mr. Arpit covered that point. we can learn a lot. Of course, we are discussing now and what JICA can support in this field. But I also learned that there is so many demand in the future, and there are so many big rooms for developing this field. But you explained clearly what the step is needed and what the challenge is required. And after the presentation, I also saw what the Japanese experience can be contributed to the Indian side. And Shuri Malik's presentation covers that point. So I learned from the Obihiro's experience, and Japan has some models of some machinery and some regulation rules in Japan. And after that presentation, in addition to that, we learned latest country-focused training is contributing for having the concrete image, what is a wood transformation, and what Japanese technologies can be incorporated in India. So I think the JICA can support for more, because I understand there are still so many big gaps to incorporate this wood transformation models to India as a project. But as a benchmark, we can of course consider the further country-focused training in the next fiscal year, and also we are also considering some benchmarks pilot project or other additional service in the next fiscal year. So I hope these kind of activities will be contributed to your further consideration, and I'm very happy to seeing the result or some good example coming in the near future. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Mr. Nishihara, and we conclude this session. It's a great learning experience for us from Telangana who are still we are in the very primitive stage of onboarding with JICA project. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much. Now I'd be requesting, and first and foremost, Sri Gauri Sankar Patnaik would be felicitated. I'd be next requesting Sri Arpit Agarwal from Nomura Research Institute, Japan. Shri Swayam Malik, IFS Joint Project Director, Odisha Forestry Sector Development Project Phase 2. Sir, kindly join us. Thank you so much. Now I request Dr. Sanjay Kumar Swai to kindly come and join us. He is the RCCF of Anugul Circle. Please put your hands together. I request everyone to please stay back. He will be now felicitating our chair and co-chair of this session. Green Node Economy, Industry Investment and Policy Pathways. for our co-chair, Mr. Nisihara Rayasuke. And time for a group photograph with all our panelists, chair, co-chair, and Dr. Sanjay Kumar Swai. Thank you, dignitaries on the dais. Thank you, everyone of the dais, for your kind cooperation. Well, first and foremost, I would be requesting everyone to kindly cooperate with us because lunch would be a little late. We will now proceed.
Just I would like to interrupt. So I just wanted to know a suggestion. Shall we have the discussion continuously or can we break for lunch, sir? Kya kare? So we'll break for lunch, sir. They need some time to preparation, sir. We can break, sir. Sir, lunch type kar dawa. We can do the lunch start.
All the group messages, sir. WhatsApp will be floated with messages, I guess.
Sir, Jindal sir. Continue kare.
Sir, voting required, it seems. How many are up for lunch? Please raise your hand. No. So 3 groups, get ready. Want to repeat again the chairpersons of 3 groups, Mr. Sorry? We are continuing with the group discussion as cited by most of the seniors. So, ladies and gentlemen, Sri S.K. Srivastava as the chairperson of Group A, Climate Change, Resilience, Adaptation, Mitigation and Carbon Financing in JICA Assisted Projects. Mr. Arun Kumar Bansal as the chairperson of Group B, Wood Transformation, Seed and Wood Certification, Agroforestry, Farm Forestry in JICA Assisted Projects. Dr. C. Suvarna as the chairperson of Group C, Digital Transformation in JICA Assisted Projects. They will be leading the groups. Will take 5 minutes for the sitting arrangements. The discussion is important as it enables stakeholders to share experiences, identify practical challenges and propose actionable strategies for mainstreaming these components during project formulation and implementation. It also helps in aligning project design and national priorities, global commitments and evolving development cooperation frameworks. The outcomes of the discussion are expected to guide future JICA-assisted projects towards being more resilient, inclusive, technology-enabled, and impact-oriented, thereby enhancing their contribution to sustainable development goals. Once again, reminding all of you, the chairperson is requested to moderate the discussion and encourage active participation from all delegates so that diverse views are captured. The presentation will be made the one of the group members other than the chairperson, limited to 7 minutes with not more than 5 slides. The delegates whose names are not enlisted, they may join any of the group A, B, C as per their choice. I would be now taking the names of the group participants, 3 groups. Group A, Sri S.K. Srivastava as the chairperson, Mr. T. Ashok Kumar, Ms. Rayasuke Nisihara, Mr. Vankit Supersware, Ms. Bratiti Purushetta. Okay, please. That would be better. I would like to draw your attention. Group C persons should be sitting over here. You can see our chairperson, Dr. C. Suvarna, is there. Group C people are requested to join at the right side of the stage or from the entry. It would be left side. Accordingly, Group A, Group B are taking their places. Post-group discussion, presentations are there. So all the best to all the groups. Ma'am? Atul sir is there. Ma'am, we have a movie. A good movie right now. नहीं ये भी करिए इनको काम करे लंच करना
हेलो हेलो काम ही नहीं कर रहा है यार ये हेलो ऑल मेंबर्स ऑफ ग्रुप बी प्लीज कम हियर मिस्टर गौरी शंकर पटनायक Miss Afrin Keji.
Okay. So you are doing the presentation.
Mr. Chitranjan Misra. Mrs.
You will be
Vipasa
doing
Parol.
presentation, right? Then now coming to what ideas do you have? Now floor is open. One by one you can say what you want to say about resilience, adaptation,
Dr.
mitigation, and
Yashoda.
carbon friendly. One line only, please.
Dr. Yashoda. Dr. Sanjeev Gaur.
Group start using microphone, it will be very difficult to have discussions. I think we have to keep the microphones away.
check. 1, 1, 2, check.
Transformation of question of transfer of wood will come when we have wood. And wood will come not from forest, wood will come from agro. How we can create agroforestry, that is number one. Agro, whatever we call it, that means forestry or growing trees in privately. That is the whole subject. We can include TUF also. That is other than private areas, but they are only good of that is forestry. The second part is what else is needed to promote use of wood. Because as of now our concept is wood is not to be used. If we use wood means we are encouraging deforestation. Whereas wood is the most environment friendly material and all of us know it. Now the ban on use of wood has gone. Earlier people put a ban that you can't use wood. Now that is not there. But our mindset has to change. Because there is so much of lobby working for other products, including aluminum. If you see aluminum window, they will say environment friendly window. I don't know how the aluminum window is environment friendly, but that is the marketing strategy. That is the lobby which has been created. So now we have to turn the table and promote use of wood. Somebody mentioned about the national building code. Building code is there, but then it is not mandatory. We have technology available. The national building code, I think 2016 or something version, there talks about timber, talks about bamboo. A lot of technology, jointing there, other things, huge part is there. We have there are rating system is also there. Wood is there, but wood is a very small company. So we have to find ways and how to promote wood. And then of course the question of transport. Whatever wood is required in the sector or other sectors, where to produce it, how to produce it. The national code of they have to, I think everybody is free to give his views, even if they are totally different. So let us their views, I think, we go around the table or whatever way you do. I'll go there.
The topic is suggesting that climate change, resilience, adaptation, mitigation, and finally carbon financing. Okay, so we should structure our presentation like that. First, what was the condition now? That is the baseline. Risks should be identified and prioritized. What action should we have to do? Now coming to the adaptation and mitigation. So before doing that, we have to identify the context-specific drivers in Odisha. What are the context-specific? The drivers which is prominent in Assam or Jammu Kashmir or Himachal, that is not true for Himachal. Yeah, so my point is that there should be a context-specific risk identification and driver prioritization. And the mitigation should be measured. Context-specific driver identification
and the baseline of risk, that is the risk assessment, what is there and what should be prioritized. That is the point. Yes, and prioritize action. Prioritize action, and that action should be measurable. Yes, yes, and that mitigation measurement, that should be measurable. Part of the project FPO or it becomes easy. Purchase Now, what are the criteria? Every plantation is not eligible for carbon finance solution. So there is a specific condition. Areas that are dedicated land or non-forest land. For rain, the driver should be anthropogenic. For grassland, there should be a specific fire or vegetation.
Nava.
Security.
କାଲି ତ ଆମେ ଯିବା ଆଉ ସେ କାଲି ପିଲାଦିନ ସବୁ ମାନେ ଉପରେ ବସିକି ପଳେଇବେ ତିନି ମୁଚିର ହଁ ମଝିରେ ଥୋଇ ଦେଇକି